Yabba-dabba. Yabba.
I ain't the kind of wear a tie. Working up from 9 to 5. I tried that life but said goodbye. I'm not always polite, but I get the job done. Who says the work can never be fun? I'm simply unprofessional. Simply unprofessional.
Good evening, everybody. The music cut short there. I don't know what happened. Interesting. Anyway, welcome to another episode of Simply Unprofessional. I'm your host, Webby. Joining me tonight, we have my co-hostess with the mostest, Mr. Devin.
How's it going, everybody? What's up?
I like your energy, especially since the fucking music fucked up. I don't like the program.
It's all good. I almost set my desk on fire, like in the middle of that.
I heard you clicking something.
No, I wasn't clicking anything.
Oh.
I was trying to light an incense, to get myself also in the Zen mood. And I was striking a match, and I struck the match, and it didn't light the first 2 times. It lit the last time, but then the match, like the stick snapped in half.
Oh yeah, so the match head went flying.
And the lit match went flying behind my computer, like on my desk. But I had a bunch of papers back there, so I was like scrambling to put it out before it lit.
That is a fire hazard. Yeah, like I went to go hover over the program that I used to play the intro music, and as soon as my mouse moved over it, the whole program shut down. I was like, well, this is awkward now. I don't know how to do the intro without the music. But anyway, we did it. We're here. Devin, all right, so this week, even though it's not December, okay, you're back. First off, let me just get that out of the way. You're back. Last week was a shit show. I love you, Rob. You fucked up the intro of all things.
How did you fuck up the intro? What did you do?
I don't remember exactly. It was like he went to go like, I was like, oh, and joining me this week we got Mr. Rob Equus, and then he started saying something, but then he like repeated himself and started trailing off because he knew he fucked up. And I was just like, well, you fucked up already. Great. And then I promised all the listeners that you'd be back this week. So
you don't have to break your promise. So that's good.
No, but last week's episode was great. Me and Rob covered a lot of really oddball news stories over the last decade. I'm sure you can see some of them posted in the general chat on the Discord. Like the violent crime duo caught on video, which was the Abominable Snowman and Winnie the Pooh. I'm not exactly sure who wrote that newspaper article, but yeah. So anyway, this week, I know it's not December, but we are covering another. I think this is a Stephen King movie. I'm guessing, right?
It's part 2 to The Shining.
It is the part. Yeah, it's part 2 to The Shining. It's Dr. Sleep. Now I just watched this today. It's a messed up movie, but it was good. I liked it.
Yeah, I really did.
I really enjoyed Ewan McGregor as a grown-up Danny Torrance.
I was going to say Danny Tanner. I'm like, that's not right.
Yeah, I've been watching Fuller House a lot lately, so I was about to say the same exact thing. But I also really enjoyed the
girl
Rose the Hat.
Oh, Rose the Hat. Yeah, I really liked the girl too.
The evil one. The
Rose
enemy
was cool.
chick.
I really liked her. She was in something else. I forget what she was in.
And the little girl.
She was really good, and that was really
Abra.
Her main debut. Abra was really nice.
Abra was awesome.
Real, like acting. She had like one other role that was like she had a couple other minor roles, but it was like her first real like major role.
Yeah.
And she did good.
So let's kick in just general plot wise real quick. So essentially, in 1980 is when it starts off. Just sometime after the events at the Overlook Hotel from The Shining, Danny and his mother moved to Florida. Okay. Now, Danny's still a little fucked up from all the events from The Shining. He's not talking really, and he still sees these ghosts, and he's having nightmares about these ghosts. Especially, it's mainly the ugly ass naked chick from the tub. Okay, the one that you did not warn me about.
That's like the most iconic scene. I didn't think I had to.
Fuck.
That scene was in fucking what you call it? It was in Ready Player One.
Yeah, I didn't think about it. I wasn't connecting those dots because I had never
I
seen
just love
The
how you
Shining
were all
at that
like,
point.
I love how you were, because at first she was beautiful. You're like, I get that. And you're like, no.
Yeah. Yeah,
And I'm
exactly.
like, yes.
So, but then he meets the ghost, essentially, of the cook. Dick, was it Halloran, I think?
Yep, Dick Halloran.
And Halloran kind of teaches him to compartmentalize these ghosts. Essentially, he teaches them. He teaches Danny a trick about these boxes in his own mind, and how he can lock away each of these ghosts. So, this particular scene ends with young Danny watching TV with his mom, gets up, walks to the bathroom, opens up the door, and you see the naked chick stand up in the bathtub, and Danny just walks in and shuts the door. And then he walks out, and he sits down, and he just continues. He starts talking to his mom once again, and he just continues watching cartoons. So you get the understanding that he has locked this bitch away in a box, and he's no longer going to be haunted by these ghosts, by these spirits. Because we find out later on that the whole reason that these spirits followed him to Florida is because Danny is so strong. He has such a strong shining. The mansion is essentially what was feeding off of him when he was there. It's the mansion that was haunted by all these ghosts and stuff. But then when he left, all the ghosts started starving and actually started following him because of the strength in the shining. So now we cut. There's two different time jumps in this movie. Now we cut to 2011, so 30 plus years later, 31 years later. Okay, so now we see Ewan McGregor as Danny. He's a fucking raging alcoholic, gets into a bar fight, goes home with this, I guess, prostitute. She was definitely doing blow.
I don't think she was a prostitute. I think she was just like a random, like, bar girl.
Yeah.
He went home with her. She did a bunch of blow. He slept with her, and then she did a bunch of blow.
And then he stole a bunch of money out of her wallet.
And she just died. And she died over an overdose. She like threw up in her sleep and died.
And the fucked up thing is, the only reason we knew.
Yeah, because she was haunted. Like, I saw the throw up in the pillow. I saw the throw up in the pillow when she got up.
Yeah, but he saw the vision later on of her dead.
Yeah, her and the kid.
But her kid's dead too.
Like, yeah. He's like, they still haven't found us. Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. I love how there's like no repercussions. He was the last one to see her alive, and I'm assuming they did find her at some point, and nobody asked questions. They're just like, well, she's dead. All right.
Right.
Cut her ass away.
So after this, like, he knows he hit rock bottom. Like, he stole money from a single mother, right? And
yeah, I mean,
he was still seeing the ghost.
Last time too. What's his name? Popped in. A dick popped in. He's like, at least, he's like, she's a single mother.
No, he showed up one more time.
No. I meant like over the years. Like that was the last time before the new time jump.
Yeah. No, he showed up after this once.
No. I'm saying before the second time jump. Like he showed up in 2011, then we jumped to 19 or 18?
2019.
Yeah. So I mean, like that was the last time over that because we saw him again.
Yeah, because he does clean up his act. That's right.
Yep.
That's right. So his, he hits rock bottom in 2011, right? So he does what any raging alcoholic who hits rock bottom would do. He moves to a small town in New Hampshire.
He's like, my people.
That's
I found you.
that's saying something, I suppose, about my state. No,
My people.
he moves to. I think they said it was like Fraser, New Hampshire, which I don't think there is a Fraser, New Hampshire.
I'll tell you, where'd he go?
The
Let's see where
closest
he goes.
The closest I know is there's like a Fraser River or something. It's not even. It's like part of a river system, and that's like up near like New London.
It says he moves to a small New Hampshire town and befriends Billy. I'm gonna see if IMDb has a better, like, a more in-depth synopsis and says like specifically where he goes. Let's see. Out of curiosity.
I thought
that
that Billy guy said it was Fraser in the movie.
It's possible, man. Billy deserved better.
He did. Yeah, I was sad, but anyway, we'll get to that. So he befriends this Billy guy who kind of, he sees that Danny's kind of on a rough path and starts bringing him to AA, gets him an apartment, gets him a job working at a hospice. And then he starts using his shining ability to comfort dying patients.
It's Anniston, New Hampshire, I think.
Is that the actual town, or
that's the town for it? But I don't know if it's the actual town of, like, I don't think it's a real town.
Oh, so I thought it was Fraser. I don't know. I thought they referenced Fraser. That for whatever reason that name stuck out with me.
Okay, Dan arrives in Fraser. So the one. So let me see.
That's where he got off the bus, right?
By Andy and promises her that they can eat well. So Abra lives in Anniston.
Okay.
So Abra lives in Anniston, New Hampshire, and then he's in Fraser, New Hampshire.
Gotcha.
Which is not a. I don't think is a place. Is it? It's Fraser, New Hampshire is a. No, it's not. There's Fraser Brook, which is a stream in New Hampshire.
Yeah, that's that part of the river thing there. That's up near like New London.
Yep. What we got?
So anyway, in this room that Danny lives in, there's a giant chalkboard that's just painted on the wall. And he starts getting messages from Abra, who we see earlier in this same time frame. She's at a birthday party, and the magician's like balancing spoons on his fingers and on his nose, and she's like, I can do that. And he's like, yeah, whatever, little girl. I'm the magician here, okay? And then her parents go into the kitchen, and all the spoons in the silverware drawer are essentially stuck to the ceiling. She's magic. That's her big thing. Which is really cool that her first name is Abra.
Her first name is actually Abigail. They call her Abra for short.
Yeah, but I thought that was really cool. Like, that's a really cool nickname to have.
It's a cool nickname. It's really the unique name.
Yeah. So she starts communicating with Danny. I don't even remember what really prompts this, but he just wakes up and there's like a message on his chalkboard.
Yeah. He does his. When he's at the hospital, and
she sensed it when he was using his powers.
He starts shining again because he's sober. He shines a little bit at the hospital.
Yeah,
that's when he's Dr. Sleep.
Yeah, he's easing the dying patients.
There's a cat roaming around. So basically, he wants to get a good job at a nursing home. Did you cover that?
Yeah, I said that at the hospice.
So he gets a job at like a nursing home, like a hospice. And there's apparently, like, it's a legend, or everybody in the hospital knows that there's this cat that kind of roams around. Right. But when at nighttime, when it goes and sits on the edge of your bed, it means it's your time.
Right.
One of the patients
that's kind of a legend with all cats too. They right. They say that cats can sense when you're dying.
Yeah. So he sits on the edge of her bed, of this guy's bed. This guy's kind of like, he's like calm about it, and then like as he starts talking about it more, he starts freaking out more about it. Yeah. So Danny like sits down and talks to him, and kind of uses the shining to calm him a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they kind of he gives him the nickname Dr. Sleep.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of presumed that he does this for over the years. He does this for all the patients.
Right.
But when he started doing that, Abra kind of sensed them, so she was kind of having a psychic conversation with him, which is really funny. Like it led to one of the best parts I think in the movie. when he pulls up outside her house and her dad walks out. He's like, "You're Danny."
Oh yeah.
I'm like,
oh, your uncle Dan.
Gonna go.
Your Uncle Dan. You fucking sick
Dan,
motherfucker. Yeah.
I'm like that was the most realistic scene in the movie. It's
for sure.
Exactly what would happen. Like if your daughter went down and was like, "I'm having a conversation with a guy. His name's Uncle Dan.
His name's Uncle Dan.
He's coming here to meet me." Oh,
Yeah.
oh, is he now?
Yeah. Right. So yeah, they start talking, and at this point, I don't even know how old Abra is at this point. She's like she's like 6.
It was her
something.
birthday. It was her. Let me see. Hold on. It was
because
she
she's
was
not
5.
Okay, so she was 5 at this point. When
she was celebrating her 5th birthday. When she did all the spoons, she was 5.
Right. Now, at the same time that these two things are happening, you know, Danny's getting his life on track. Abra's messaging him on the chalkboard when she's 5 years old. There's another person who we saw once earlier in the movie. She calls herself Rose the Hat. She wears like this bowler cap or like this magician's cap. And she's talking to a young child over by like a river, and she ends up like kidnapping the child along with like a bunch of other hippies in the woods. They all just like gang up on this child and like just steal her. But then we see this other one where they're at a movie theater and they're watching this girl who's meeting up with a guy, and then they start fooling around, and this girl just essentially tells the guy to go to sleep, and he just instantly falls asleep because she also has the Shining. She has like special powers, and this guy is apparently like a pedophile. So while he's asleep, she steals his wallet, takes all of his money, and then cuts 2 little marks on the side of his cheek because her name is like Snakebite or some shit.
Yep, that's the name.
Snakebite Andy.
Yep.
So they decide that they recruit her into this organization called hold on, I have it here. The True Knot is this organization. They're essentially psychic vampires.
Yeah, they're like
they feed
evil
off
people
of
who can shine.
They feed off of people's shining.
Yeah, but they're also like evil people who shine.
Yes, they all have powers in some fashion, and the more they feed off of other people's shine, or they call it like steam or something like that.
Yeah, they call it steam.
But the more they feed off of that from other people, the longer they live. They can actually prolong their lives. Hence, like the vampire portion of it. So then there's another time jump. So now we're jumping forward even more from 2011 to 2019. So 8 more years.
And they all have weird names. Like Rose the Hat is her leader, and then there's another guy called Crow Daddy.
Crow Daddy, yep. He was like her
second in command, yeah.
Yeah. What was the fucking old guy's name?
What was his name? Fuck it.
He was like the grandfather.
Did Barry the Chink?
No.
No.
It was
one Barry the Chink, though. Jimmy Numbers? No, let's see. Hold on. Walnut. Snakebite. Oh, here. I got a list of the names. Here we go. Ready? All right, here we go. These are all the names. Grandpa Flick. There we go.
Flick. That's what his name was.
Yep. Grandpa Flick, Rose the Hat, Crow Daddy, Jimmy Numbers, Barry the Chink, Petty the Chink, Tommy the Truck, Heavy Mary, Walnut, Pea and Pod, Snakebite Andy, Silent Sari, Token Charlie, Baba the Russian, Apron Annie.
There was a lot more of these in the book, I take it.
Yeah, there was.
Because there was not this many in the movie.
Dirty Phil, Diesel Doug, Steamhead Steve.
Diesel Doug. I love it.
This is like a wrestling name. Diesel Doug. Steamhead Steve. That sounds like an 80s wrestling name. Like an 80s, like fucking. That sounds like a wrestling name like when Vince in like the late 80s, 90s was giving everybody a gimmick. This guy'd be like a fucking train conductor.
Yeah.
It's coming to the ring, Steamhead Steve.
God damn it.
He comes out, choo choo. Oh my god. Anyway, Greedy G, Long Paul, Short Eddie, Big Mo, Heartman Sam, Toady Slim, Bent Dick.
What?
Baba the.
I wouldn't want that guy's name.
Yep, Bent Dick, Baba the Red, Sweet Terry Pickford, Fat Fanny, Hands Off
Jesus.
Hans, and Katie Patches.
Jesus. So the book. Now I'm interested in reading the book. Okay, because I mean, after having watched the movie, I want to see how they tear through the entire organization. Because there's so many more of them in the book, apparently.
Yeah. I don't know how big of like a role they play in the book, but yeah. I mean, I'm looking at it like there's pages for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people here. So
Yeah.
I mean,
All right. So in 2019, these True Knot gang, I guess, these psychic vampires, they're starving. They're not finding too many people. They kidnap some baseball kid who apparently has this power. Then we realize that the steam that they call it is more potent when it's fueled by fear and pain. So they essentially stake this kid in an abandoned lot and like to the ground and torture him until he dies.
yeah. One of the main reasons why she was so excited about Snakebite Andy and didn't like kill her, but did because she is a pusher. She's someone who can like make people do what she wants with her voice.
Right.
And it makes capturing people so much easier because like he was trying to fight and she just kind of opens the door and goes, she just opens the door and gives him a command.
Yeah.
And then just like, okay. And then it's fine. So it just makes it easier for them.
Right.
So she actually like really, like she really wanted to keep Snakebite Andy around.
Yeah. So they kidnap this kid, and the whole time, like, Abra is, like, dreaming. She's asleep, and she starts seeing this happen in her dreams. And then she starts screaming out for them to stop. And while they're torturing this kid, you see Rose the Hat kind of turn and look into the distance at nothing because she senses Abra kind of looking in on them, which puts Abra on their radar. And then they realize that Abra is like she says to cover that amount of distance or even further from what her guesstimate was, she must be super powerful, like super potent or whatever in the steam or the shining.
Abra.
Yeah. So they really want to track her down.
Abra's we found out that Abra's stronger than
fucking yeah. She fucking wakes up one day and she's like, okay, I want to know more about who I saw in this vision. So like she like does the whole Undertaker, her eyes go white thing, and she's like staring out her window, and she starts looking in on Rose the Hat at a supermarket, and Rose the Hat walks up to like a cooler glass door, and she's looking at the reflection, and she starts doing the same thing, and she sees Abra, and then she tries to get into Abra's head. And Abra literally yells and forces her out of her head so hard that Rose the Hat goes flying back. The glass door in the supermarket shatters, and then she gets pushed back even farther. But I think the coolest scene was when Rose the Hat decided she was gonna astral project herself
over the world. Yeah, that was really cool.
And then she lands in Abra's room.
This movie's weird.
No, I had texted you that way earlier. Just this whole the movie was weird at one point. It's just like it was a very interesting movie. I really enjoyed it. It was just odd. But yeah, she goes into Abra's room and she sees Abra sleeping, and then she sees like all these files on the wall, and she's like, "Huh, all right." And then she's making like snarky little comments like, "Oh yeah, you think you're so organized and blah blah blah, and you should see my mind. It's like a cathedral." And then like she opens up like this. They're like file cabinet drawers almost. She opens up one and she's like sifting through the files with her hand, and the drawer shuts on her hand. And all of a sudden, you look back. She looks back, and Abra's sitting on the end of her bed with no eyes. Like her eyes are like melded over flesh.
Yeah, she disguised herself in her mind because at that point she didn't know what Abra actually looked like.
Right.
So Abra had like a blue wig on with no eyes.
Dude, she should have made herself look like Chinese. Like,
she should have.
She could have done that. But
It should've been like a white
either
man.
way, no eyes. That was freaky as fuck. But then she starts like taunting Rose the Hat, and then she gets into Rose the Hat's mind and starts sifting through all her files.
And that like freaks Rose out. She's like, that's never happened before.
Yeah,
You know.
and then she busted. And then we find out that like what happens in like the astral projection, like what happens in your mind or whatever, really happened to her in real life. Because when she falls back into her body, she fucking comes slamming into her body, rolls her right off the top of the RV onto the ground.
Yeah, and like her whole hands like de-sleeved.
Yeah, her hand was
She's like
fucked
de-sleeved
up.
all her fingers.
It was gross.
I just love the scene of her flipping through the fucking air.
Yes.
When she got pushed back. It was just,
Yep.
like, flipping over to the Earth astral projection. Like,
So essentially around, in and around these times, Abra had asked Danny. She had gone and seen Danny at where he works. That's where she came up with, Danny's like, hey, it's not cool, a teenage girl sitting on a park bench with a middle-aged man, and she's just like, oh, you're Uncle Danny. If anyone asks you, you're just my uncle, whatever. So from then on, he was Uncle Danny. And she essentially says, hey, this is the kid who got killed, and you need to go there and get his baseball glove, and then I can track these people, and we got to do something about it. And Danny's trying to tell her, hey, listen, hide as best you can, blah, blah, blah. And then he ends up seeing the cook again one last time. And the cook even tells him, hey, this is the last time you're going to see me. I'm going to go to sleep finally. But he essentially says, you need to help this little girl. There's a debt that needs to be paid, and you need to pay it. And so Danny decides to help her. He takes his friend Billy, goes all the way out to fucking like Ohio or some shit, or wherever. No, New York or something. And he digs up the baseball glove. And then he's like, okay, we're gonna go see you, Abra, at your house. And this is where the best scene happens. They roll up in like this beat up Toyota like Civic or like Honda Civic or whatever the fuck it was, Toyota Corolla, and they pull up into this guy's house, and Abra's father comes out, and she's like, "Oh, you're Uncle Danny? And then fucking takes a swing at him." Best scene in the movie.
And then he looks over. He's like, "You didn't show him, did you? I told him it's not the same thing."
Yeah, it's not. And then she showed him, and it like pretty much collapsed her father.
Yeah, but he just inside just
immediately drinking,
taking drinking.
Yep, just immediately drinking whiskey.
I love how he's like drinking the whiskey. He finishes it. He like shakingly pours another glass. He looks at Danny like, "You want some?"
Yeah.
Then he's like, "No, I'm good." He's just like, "All right." He just goes back to pouring more.
Yeah. And
I don't know where the fuck the mom went. She was just gone.
She went on a trip to go see her nana, the kid's nana, because her mother was dying or something like that.
All right, me and my mom must have missed that part. We were both sitting there like, where the fuck is the mom?
Yeah, because she asked Abra if Nana makes it out of it this time around, and Abra kind of looks down and then like shrugs and says, I don't know, because she wants to be normal for her parents,
right?
But yeah, because remember, so they set this trap for the True Knot gang, and because they know that they're coming after Abra. So Abra astral projects her powers onto like a teddy bear, and Danny and Billy drive it out into the middle of the woods at some campground.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of them come rolling up in an RV. They all fall for the trap, and Danny and Billy are out in the woods with rifles, just fucking picking them all off one by one. And then they do the whole shimmy, shimmy, shake on the ground and then turn the steam and blow away. Because, that's what they do when you die, I guess. Except for Snakebite Andy, who gets shot in the neck, gets shot in the shoulder, gets shot in the gut, and then
she gets shot in the shoulder, shot in the gut, and then runs. She's running back. And then I think she gets shot in the shoulder. She gets clipped in like the stomach.
Yeah.
And then she runs inside and hides, thinking she's going to die. And he comes to the door to kill her.
Runs out of bullets.
He runs out of bullets, so she steps outside and starts giving him commands. He kind of resists for a minute.
And then he falls asleep, but then Abra wakes him up.
Yeah, Abra wakes him back up.
And just
And
as she's
then-
about to shoot him, Billy fucking pings her one in the neck, right in the throat.
Yep.
And as she's like writhing on the ground, dying,
Yeah, and Danny's kind of still shaking it off, waking up. He realizes it's too late. He's like, no, stay back. And then she tells Billy to kill himself.
Yep, and he just blows his brains out.
It's too late. Billy kills himself, and I'm like, oh, Billy.
I was very sad at that point. I really enjoyed Billy's character, and yeah. But then we realized that Crow Daddy, that fucking asshole, kind of had an idea of his own and went to Abra's house, killed Abra's dad, kidnapped Abra, and then was driving him back up to New York. So Danny projects himself into the car because they drugged Abra so she couldn't use her powers. So she couldn't call Danny for help. She couldn't do anything. But Danny essentially projects himself into the car and talks to Abra and then possesses her.
Yep.
And starts talking to this guy.
He does what she did to him earlier in the car.
Yeah.
When she like jumped in his mind and started seeing like the fucking
the boxes and stuff,
shit on the boxes.
Yeah.
And then she started asking. He's just like it freaks him out because he almost runs off the road.
Yep.
So yeah, so he did that.
But I like when she like wakes up in the back and she's like, "Fuck, this feels like a hangover." I haven't had one of these for years. But this guy's he's pretty quick to catch on and knows that it's not Abra in, talking to him. And Danny has the bright idea of, well, you think you're invincible, that's why you're not wearing a seatbelt. And then essentially starts to possess him and forces him to crash into a telephone pole, which launches him out of the car and essentially kills that guy. And Abra gets out and just watches him die. She's like, I hope you're in a lot of pain right now. And just like watches him die. That was rough.
Yeah. And then she starts walking back, and then what's her name? Rose the Hat tries to pop in front of her, like Ash projects in front of her. She kind of stops for a second, and then she kind of just smirks, and she just walks
through her. Dude, Abra's a beast. She's a beast. And then so Danny figures, okay.
Abra don't give a fuck.
Danny figures, okay, Rose the Hat's going to come after you. She's essentially the last one. She's probably the most powerful one. We're going to need a little bit of help. So I'm going to take your ass to Colorado, back to, the mansion. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of shown that she goes in because they were shown at this point. They were shown to be kind of like starving. The whole group was.
Yeah, but then she goes back into her RV.
Food. So when everybody else died, she kind of opened up all their reserves and just kind of absorbed everything.
Yep.
To kind of be at like top off and be at like full health.
Yeah.
So for our vamp players out there, it kind of reminded me of like she was operating with not a full blood pool originally.
Yeah, until now.
So she kind of topped off.
But what was neat, what I thought was funny though, is as they're driving, they're in like Ohio heading towards Colorado. Abra's mom calls her. There's police in the background because her husband's in the house with a knife in the chest. And Abra just answers the phone. She's like, hi. She's like, oh my God, where are you? She's just like, I love you. And then she hangs up the phone and hucks it out the window.
Dude, Abra's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, she knows what's up. She knows what she's got to do. Then they go to the house, the mansion. Abra stays outside on lookout. Danny goes inside, turns all the boilers on, essentially wakes up the house just by walking through it. Every time he's walking into a new room, the house feeds off his energy and the lights come back on. He revisits a lot of the old rooms. There's a lot of like callback scenes, I guess. So he visits his old apartment where Jack had busted the axe through the door. The ballroom. He even has a conversation with the bartender who
his conversation with his dad.
With his dad, yeah.
Who unfortunately they couldn't get. They were trying to get Jack Nicholson for the role,
right?
But he's super retired. So.
Yeah.
So they have to kind of look alike.
One thing I will say, I'd like to get a side-by-side comparison. Way earlier back in the movie where he's talking to the sponsors for like the AA group. The guy who runs the AA group and he like lost
That was
his
the same office.
It was the same exact office. That's what I thought.
Like it was the same office. I said the same thing when I sat down. I'm looking at mom. I'm like, that looks like the exact same office. from when Jack had the meeting with the guy up at the lodge.
The interview with the lodge. Yep.
Yep, I feel like that was the same office.
Okay, I'm
It
glad
could
that
not be, but I feel like it was.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought it was. Then
Nope.
I feel more justified. So in any case, at this point, Rose the Hat shows up. They decide to take a stand in the room on the staircase where Jack did his writing, and Jack went toe to toe with Danny's mom on the staircase in the same fashion. They trap Rose in Danny's mind. Rose thinks that she's in Abra's mind, but she's essentially lost in that fucking maze, the hedge maze. And then there's a cool little scene in there where, Abra is just like slicing her in the back of the kneecaps and chasing her through the hedge maze, through the snow, just like Jack did to Danny. And then Rose essentially grabs a hold of Abra and realizes that that's not her mind and forces the whole thing out. And then approaches Danny. And then there's like a confrontation. She gets an axe to the fucking shoulder and shrugs it off. That's fucking rough. Okay, like Danny swings this axe down and clips her one right in the shoulder, and she just takes it from him and like uses the back end of it and hits him right in the fucking the big ass artery.
Danny also hesitates like his mom does.
Yeah,
when it comes to swinging an axe.
That's true. He should just start swinging it wildly.
He could hold a knife better. Because I still love that mom holding that knife. That shit was hilarious.
Yeah, like way up over her head.
Over her head, limp wrist as fuck.
Limp wrist, yep. Oh my god! I want a gif of that, of just her running with the limp wristed knife. So then, essentially, she throws him down the stairs and starts feeding off of him because she like drives her thumb into it, like like his leg where she stabbed him, and she starts realizing like, oh, where have you been the whole time? How did I miss you? And then when she's feeding off of him, she's like, this is awesome. You are the best tasting steam or, shining or whatever that I've ever had. And then all of a sudden she's like, what else is in your head? What is it you're hiding? And then she pries into essentially the room where Danny has all these boxes locked. She's like, oh, whatever you're hiding must be really good. And he's like, nah, just really hungry. And he fucking lets all the fucking boxes open, and essentially it's all of the staff and all of the ghosts from the hotel show up around this chick, including the two twin girls, which really freaked me out. I don't like them. And yeah, they just fucking pin her to the ground and fucking tear into her and eat her dry, essentially. Yep. They consume her steam. Yep. And then they turn to Danny. At least the twins do.
Yep. And then Danny, his leg's fucked up.
Yep. He ain't going nowhere. He ain't running. So then we get a repeat scene, a callback scene. So now Danny has a limp and an axe, and he's chasing Abra through the hotel, limp running, much like Jack did. And then Abra runs. She sees the twins. She sees a couple of the other ghosts. She sees Danny. And then she runs and hides in room, was it 327? Was the off-limits room?
Yep.
And then she sees the old naked broad in the bathtub. And she stands up. And Abra's just like, do it. Try it. She eggs it on. And then Danny busts into the door. And she starts having a conversation with Danny about it being the hotel and not really Danny, and how the hotel doesn't realize who they're in right now, who they're possessing, and the fact that Danny set the boiler room to explode. And he goes to swing the axe down on Abra and stops just shy of her head, and then turns back into Danny long enough to allow her to run out again. And then he runs to the boiler room to go try to stop it.
Let's be realistic. If he wasn't going to stop, Abra probably would have kicked his ass.
Probably. Oh, for sure.
She would have threw his ass through a wall. Like, let's be realistic.
Well, I mean, with as powerful as she is, I wonder why she didn't try to force the spirit possessing Danny out to begin with.
I think Danny was already kind of lost at that point. Like, he was in there, but he was kind of already like lost at that point.
Yeah. So essentially, she runs out to the car. She sees the Danny runs to the boiler room. Everything catches on fire. There's this scene where Danny is staring at the fire surrounding him. He pans over and sees his mom. It pans back, and now it's child Danny. And then it cuts to Abra in her room talking, and Danny is in her room talking with him. I'm assuming it's because Danny is now a ghost, much like the cook was for him.
Yeah, he is. For sure he is.
Yeah.
Because he disappears right when the mom comes in the room.
Right. Well, with all the astral projection in this game in this particular movie, it's hard to keep track of some of that sometimes.
Yeah, no. For sure.
Yeah, but Danny definitely died in the hotel.
He died the way his father died in the first book. That was a callback.
Right.
Because I mentioned in the last thing, in the original book, the hotel he didn't freeze in the hotel. In the original book, he didn't take care of the boiler because he had gone crazy, and the hotel blew up with him inside.
Okay. Now, does the hotel play a role in the Doctor Sleep book?
I believe they built over the hotel and built like a resort there or like a lodge there now. So it's kind of like similar but not different.
Okay.
I've actually read Doctor Sleep. I have no idea.
Yeah. So in any case, essentially,
gift, by the way,
essentially,
it's not as good as I want it to be, but I found your gift.
Essentially, that's the end of the movie, where Abra essentially tells her mom, she comes clean, because when her mom asks who she was talking to, she says no one. Then she walks out of the room. She's like, "That was a lie. I was talking to Danny."
Well, because her mom's sad about her dad.
Yeah. Well, the thing is the whole movie, Abra has been trying to not necessarily hide her powers, but try to be normal for her parents.
Well, yeah,
and now she knows not to be.
Well, she said before, like her parents knew about it, but she said, like,
they look at her different.
They look at me different. Yeah.
Yeah, so she always just tried to hide it. She just decided to, hide it and stow it away. But now she's got to shine on, as Danny said, and she essentially said, "No, I'm talking to Uncle Danny. I'm talking to Uncle Dan, and Dad is living on too, and he's over here too." And she kind of put her mom at ease with that whole situation. And that was essentially the end of the movie, which I thought it was a dope movie. I really enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed all of the callbacks. I'm glad I watched The Shining first, finally, because I got to see all those many callbacks to the Shining movie. And yeah.
Yep. I thought it was really good. Like, me and my mom talked about it for a couple of days after we were just passing through the hallway. We were like, that was a good movie.
Yep. Yep.
Like, yeah, it was a good movie. Also, too, they actually had.
That's right.
Cameo.
That's not how the movie ends. The movie ends with she was going to go down for breakfast. She said, "Yeah, 1 minute." She walks into the bathroom, and the fucking naked broad is there in the bathtub.
The naked broad there, she goes in there and seals her ass away,
and just shuts the door. And you figure that she just has that same whole lockbox system down that Danny had. So, finally, no more naked bathtub broads.
For now.
Creepy ass old hags. So
the original actor who played Danny made a cameo. He was one of the dudes in the baseball game in the stands.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So that happened. Let's see. I'm just reading some of the trivia here. So Mike Flanagan, the guy who directed this, he actually acquired blueprints from Stanley Kubrick's estate to like rebuild some of the sets on The Shining.
Okay.
Let's see. Hold on. When writing Doctor Sleep, Stephen King had to be reminded of things from The Shining he'd forgotten, although most of his books exist in a shared universe. For instance, The Shining's Dick Halloran appears briefly in It. Just to name one example. So Dick Halloran it pops up in It.
I don't remember. I kind of remember that, but it was such.
I don't think he's. I think he's like a bit part in the book. I don't think he's in like the movies or anything.
No, I thought I thought that actor did show up in the new.
No, the actor's dead in the. He's dead.
Maybe.
I don't
know.
Hugh McGregor, Dan Stevens, Chris Evans, Matt Smith, and Jim were considered to have directed the lead role. Yeah, no, I like who they went with.
Yep.
So
no, I enjoyed the cast for every single person.
The people who they were meeting with for play Danny was Ewan McGregor, Dan Stevens, who is what is he from? He's from Beauty and the Beast and Downton Abbey. Yep. Chris Evans, but no.
Right.
No, I couldn't say
No,
that.
I like Ewan McGregor. I think he was a good choice for this.
Matt Smith, no. He doesn't have to look for it.
I honestly think that every character, having seen this movie, this is one of those movies, it's kind of rare, but it's one of those movies where, yeah, I would keep everybody that they cast in all these roles, even some of the minor roles. I wouldn't recast them.
No, I think it's great.
Each person fit really perfectly.
I agree. So, I actually agree. Like really, really agree.
But we are rounding out about almost that hour mark.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if there's any more nifty trivia here.
How come that GIF isn't working? Do I have the mouse over it?
Yeah, click on it.
That limp-wristed bitch. That mother from the first movie. Jesus.
Okay, so the name.
What name?
So hold on 1 second here. So in the scene where the hospital cat Azzy jumps on the desk in front of Dan before following her to what should be the empty room, he puts down the magazine he's reading. It's the same January 1978 issue of Playgirl magazine that his father Jack Torrance read in the lobby of the Overlook while waiting for Stuart Ullman and Bill Watson.
Okay.
On Day in the Shine. So
wow, that hospice needs better
porn.
Oh,
yep. But also, the cat's name is Azzy, which is short for Azrael, who is the Angel of Death.
Angel of Death. Yep.
So Ewan McGregor is roughly the same age, less than 2 years older as Danny Lloyd, who played Danny Torrance in the original Shining. He's also 5 years older than Jack Nicholson was when he made the original film. Good to know.
All right.
Let me see. The address of Aber's house is 1980, which is the release year of The Shining.
I didn't realize it was 19. I saw the 80 part. I didn't realize it was It was 1980.
Yep. So her address is 1980. Many of Rose's sexual trinkets for various children. Rose was killed. Oh, okay. Many of Rose's, like the trinkets and accessories she wears, they're all trophies from kids she's killed.
Well, that's very
including
serial killer
bracelets, hairbands, toys, and even a bicycle chain woven into her hair.
Yep.
Ferguson wanted to wear trophies of her victims hidden in plain sight. There's a few Dark Tower references in the film. The sound of Dan's car driving into the bridge in the woods on his way to the shadow is actually the sound of little Danny's trike on the tile in the hall of the Overlook Hotel.
I knew that sounded weird.
Yep.
When they went over the little wooden bridge there. But
in Dr. Sleep, Stephen King named a magician/clown after Mysterio, a villain from the Spider-Man comics.
Yep.
The room Dan enters in is room 217. The novel The Shining, room 217 is the infamous room where Miss Maisley resides. Kubrick changed it to room 237, his adaptation. Also, in the beginning of the movie, the room is shown as 237 towards the climax. The room is shown to be 257, but whatever. So that's a little editing issue flaw. But the empty room that he went into,
yeah,
is 217. Or the room he entered in was 217 in there. So they changed the room. They change it by 20 every time, which is weird.
Gotcha.
Um,
All right. We need
to round it out in a what you call it?
a life advice with Devin.
That's fine. When Dan first arrived in Fraser, New Hampshire, one of the street signs visible is Elm Street. Yep, Fraser. One of the street signs visible is Elm Street. So, yeah.
Well, I will say that the only famous Elm Street in New Hampshire is in Manchester, and it is the longest two-way dead-end street, I believe, in the world. If not, at least the United States.
How long is the street?
I don't know. It's fucking Elm Street's really long.
Maybe it's like 85 miles. TJ.
No, I mean it's not that long, but it's
just
a
get
really,
on it and drive.
Well,
and you can never get off.
The thing is, it's a two-way. Like both ends of Elm Street end at a dead end. Like they
so
don't.
Basically, if
they
you don't live
merge.
on Elm Street, if you don't live on Elm Street, there's no reason for you to be on Elm Street.
Well, no, because there's a shit ton of streets that spurn off of Elm Street. They all
Elm Street itself.
They don't connect. Yeah, the ends don't actually connect into any other roads. So, yeah, it's messed up. It's one of the two main streets in Manchester.
I have a weird street, kind of like not like that, but I have a weird street up here that kind of like that, where it's like the people in the community fucking block the street off.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's clearly a street for that thing, but you drive by and there's just like cinder blocks put there and like a sign somebody tied up, like dead end. I'm like, well, no, but okay, like they made their own cul-de-sac.
Yep.
Like the people just kind of came together, like as a whole, like we're just gonna fucking make our own cul-de-sac. Who cares about this street? Fuck it. They went out, got like these 2-ton cinder blocks, just dropped them, and then like, all right, boom, put a sign up, dead end, cool. Yeah, weird shit. Anyway, we need a moment of zen, don't we?
Yep, moment of zen. Life advice with Devin.
Life advice with Devin. I mean,
now that you have your new little babbling,
I do, which I gotta. So full disclosure, I set it up and it was working perfectly fine. However, I realized that they shafted me in the packaging. They did not send me the AC adapter. Like the AC adapter in there wasn't in there. It was in the box, which is fine. Only problem is the batteries died. Because, I had it on running. I want to see how long they would run. They run about 36 hours before they die. But I got a couple of generic AC chargers around the house. I just got to find one and see if it works.
Right.
Yeah. So once I get it plugged in, it'll be running all the time. So right now it's off. So it's, but it is set up and I am looking at it. And it's very beautiful. Personally, I want to thank your mom.
Yeah. You
thank
do
you.
That.
I will. I did.
See, Mom, start sending all your junk to Devin. Stop bringing it over to my house and changing my house around.
But still do that, though.
No, don't. You're driving me and Dad crazy.
One day, you're going to look at that stuff and be like, oh, man, I miss my mom. We'll come over here and do that.
No. Like, I walked in the other day from work. I came home. I walked in the front door. I didn't even step.
When he walks in,
I stopped. I paused.
I looked
at my dad.
He steps back outside. He looks at his address. Like, did I fucking go to the right house?
No. I mean, it wasn't drastic like that. But it was one of those things where it's like, I walked in the house. I shut the front door. I stopped. I just paused for a moment. My dad from across the, because my house is really open, like from one room to another. It's very wide open. So you can see like to the other end of my house from my front door. And my dad was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Something's different." And he starts laughing. He's like, "Your mother just left." I was like, "She threw stuff away, didn't she?" I have a feeling she changed our fucking toaster. And he just starts laughing more. And I walk into the kitchen. I was like, "New toaster. She moved the crock pot. She threw our old strainer away, or she gave us a new strainer. This is like the third strainer she's bought us."
Did she get you a new griddle yet?
Yeah, she already did that. But I started going through all these changes, and then my dad's like, "Wait, what?" And then he looks around and he's like, "I didn't notice these ones until you fucking just mentioned it." Rah, rah, rah. And he starts getting all pissy. I started laughing. And every time my mom comes over, I have to call my mom back as soon as I get home and give her shit about me noticing everything that she's changed.
Never change, Mom. Never change.
I do love you, Ma. Thank you for doing what you do. I appreciate it all. Just stop. Stop now, please. All right. So, Devin, life advice with Devin.
I mean, You know, Webby. I'm trying to think here. What's some good life advice? I mean, I've kind of been laid out for a week or so. Been okay. I haven't been sick or anything. I've been fine. I've just been blah. But let's see here. What would I say is life advice? You know what? Fuck it. It's short but sweet, but I think it's good. Stay true to yourself, people. Have some personal integrity. Draw a line in the sand for yourself, and just don't. No matter what, don't cross that line.
Okay.
Stay true to yourself. You can never lead yourself wrong.
I don't have a life advice this week because I know every so often I like to chime in with one if I have one. I do have a blessing this week.
Oh, okay. I like it.
May you all be a half hour in heaven before the devil knows you're dead.
There we go.
It's an old Irish blessing. But anyway, that's where we're going to wrap it up. So, Devin, where can people find you on the internet?
You guys can find me on the internet at DMP_Pookie on Twitter and on Twitch at Poo Killed Me. And as always, you can find me on eBay as Red Rum.
Red Rum.
Yep.
And as always...
Oh, what's his name made a fucking comeback too? Fucking fuck. His dude that you talked to.
Tony,
yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Tony made a fucking comeback.
He didn't really make a comeback. He mentioned
we didn't see him, but he was there. We didn't see him the first time, so I mean, it's fair.
Yeah, I mean, he mentioned him.
He was like, Tony, help me. Tony.
And as always, everybody, thank you for listening. You guys can follow me on Twitter at JaxForestWalker, all one word, on Twitch at DMWebby, on Instagram at Patrick.Webster52, and on eBay at I'm about to be sick. As always. Thank you for listening, and until next week, remember, fuck Booster Gold. Yeah, we love you too, but fuck Booster Gold. That guy sucks. Now. No.